So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Now we come to the part where we share our ideas about the portion that we read and the message that we heard. You know, one of the calls that I told you I got this week, it was from a young woman. And the first time I met her, our number here at the congregation at Shear Yashuv is our 800 number is in all the prisons across Canada. So people from time to time call. And I received a call from a young man one day in prison in Ontario. And he says, I know I'm not Jewish, but would you please just help me? I'm trying to reach my mother to let her know that I'm okay. And they haven't put her number on the phone for me to call her yet. So I said, not a problem. And I got off the phone with him and I called her mother. I left a message and she called me back within 5 minutes. She said, I didn't pick up the phone because in the moment that you called, I was begging God because I hadn't heard from my son. And I was praying, I was sitting in my car, begging God that I would just hear a word of how my son is doing. And then you called. And it was like, it just shows me how God is there. He had me call from this young man in Toronto to give his wife, his mother, some peace. And God works like that in our lives. And yet, just like the cloud by day and the fire by night, in the next minute when something goes wrong, we can forget. That's why it's a constant reminder every single day of our lives, every single moment, God is with us. And when we're going through rough stuff, we just have to know he's with us. It's such a blessing to know that.
Is that what when you said you spoke to a young woman, you're referring to his mother?
I was referring to her, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a nice talk with her. She keeps in touch with me every once in a while. She said she was raised Christian. She was a Christian, but she's left a lot of the things that she believed in Christianity. And she's now actually dating a Jewish man. And she told me that he said to her, you can't be a Jew and a Christian. And I said to her, it's true. But then again, they're talking about religions. There's only one God. When I mentioned about Islam, Christianity, and all the religions of the world, they're really man-made. What we're looking at in Torah is something that's very different. He's teaching us how to have a relationship with him. And then we can have a relationship with ourselves, which we need, a healthy relationship with ourselves, which takes years to fix because we have so much shtick from our past.
Yeah.
And then we can have a better relationship with others. And that's really when I said it takes a community to raise a child. We're a child in that community. We're like children, the children of Israel. And as we immerse ourselves more and more in Torah and in the principles that it teaches us, and as we take those steps of faith to fix even little things, then we develop more trust. We grow, we heal from within. It's really it's miraculous what we have, this Torah.
I have a relative who I speak to regularly, and she's in a lot of pain and struggles a lot with things. And she has this idea, and I keep trying to talk to her, but I don't want to be pushy about it, which I end up sometimes being. But it's as if God doesn't have room. She's, he's worried about people who are in worse shape. Let's say people in her family, her kids, whatever. And I said, your God is infinite. And
yeah, but that's a very Jewish thing. I hear that from many Jews.
But it's almost pride. And I can only talk about this person. I can't generalize. Yes, I just want to finish it on. It's like I said, she said, I've asked God enough for myself. And it's almost a martyrdom. It's a sort of type of pride in a sense. I said, you've got to stop that. You've got to open up the line. Like, she's out of touch with God, and she has these ideas, but it's sort of, I really want to say it in a way that she can understand that there's enough room for the whole vast, like she's closing the lines to God because of these ideas. It's a kind of shutting the doors unwittingly, like, just open the doors and cry out to God.
Well, Miriam, I really believe over the last couple of thousand years, Christianity has introduced more the idea of a relationship with God. And it's helped us as Jews, because I've heard that not only from my family, from Muli, from different people who say, even Rabbi used to say that, his father used to say that God's busy. He has enough to do out there. He doesn't need to worry about my problems. I need to take care of them. But this is well known in Christianity. I don't know if I can hear you, Moshe. I see you have your hand up. You have to unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Are you saying something now? Because we can't hear you. But that's a very typical thing in Judaism.
Yeah, but sometimes.
And now maybe in reaction to Christianity, I think you'll see the modern Judaism now is talking about a relationship with God. You'll see the more modern movements like the Chabadniks and those who, even though they have a religious side, they're very open about having they're being heard by God. That for a long time was not heard about in Judaism. That's good, yes.
But a lot of Jewish people, they're sort of joking around. Oh, he has no time for me. I don't know if when they talk like that, they really understand a relationship with God. Like,
no, they don't.
No, but I'm talking about people, even who she's had experiences, many with God, and she knows it, miracle. And now this is something personal with her. I see her acting like that in other ways. And I'm trying to let her just open the doors and don't orchestrate what.
But in a way, you're right about, because this expression biyad ramah, they went out with a high hand. Like, I heard a song this week about, by a Jewish man who wrote it, and he says, "I am not going to hide. I am proud to be a Jew." It has nothing to do with pride.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The Torah teaches us we need to be as humble as Moses. A high hand, biyad ramah, means we're going out in pride. We think we can handle it on our own. That's a very typical thing.
Yeah.
And
Anyway, I slowly, I know I talk to her a lot. Just one other thing, when the New Testament, it says, you are a new creature in Christ, whatever. I think part of it is true, and we are not, what you said, I agree with. We have our natures, we're struggling all the time. But one thing that always hit me about that line, which really affected me, is that we are new in the sense that we're taken from one paradigm into another.
Yes.
We are still the same people, but what a difference. Like, what I just went through the past 2 years, I don't think I could have handled it if I weren't translated, like it says, from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. And that's what I take that passage to mean, that we are new creatures, not that we're not the same ordinary.
There's something supernatural that happens. Because I know when that happened to me, it's almost like what the prophets talk about, a circumcision of the heart. It's like suddenly our hearts are open, our eyes are open, we can hear, we can see. Something is different, but that's just the beginning. It's not all of a sudden we have no more sin.
No, of course. And that's a I used to argue when I was in the church, and people who were really, you could see, had a real relationship with God, they understood that it means you translate it into another. We're in another kingdom. Even in the Holocaust, in the prison camp, could you imagine not having a relationship with God, there's no way you could survive.
But I don't see it like another kingdom. We were always in his kingdom. We just didn't know it. It was suddenly, he put
Well, maybe
glasses
that's
on
what
us.
I mean. The knowing
Yeah,
of it makes you able to.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know, Moshe, you're trying to say something, but we can't hear you.
All right. Let me write what I was trying to say.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Even in Uganda here in my synagogue, we have a lady who has been with us and in the Jewish community, but the husband wasn't Jewish. The husband was a Christian, and
Okay.
this lady waited for almost 3 to 4 years, because right now they have 2 babies, and this lady was patient enough till his husband was able. Recently, he confirmed as a Jew. So I only call upon patience. Let that man also be patient. You never know. Yahweh will make his ways okay for him, and then you will find that that lady is also belonging to us, to the Jewish community. So let him be patient enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my point, Mommy.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? I know there's a lot of things in this parasha. That's why I love the Wednesday nights, because we can go through the whole thing slowly and read it, in detail. It's so important. Mauricio, I'm sure you have something to add.
Yeah. Yes, I like to the way that how the human being is in his nature, this problem of complaining every moment
yes,
of his life, and that's so important because today people do not realize that the antidote to stop to complain God is to be a person with giving thanks
gratitude, exactly.
gratitude to God.
Yes,
Example, I've seen people just pledging for a job, for example. Oh God, give me a job, no matter what, They're in a need, obviously. And then God give them a job, and they then start to say, oh God, this job is so difficult. My boss is a headache, whatever.
yeah,
So, and this is constantly happening to the world. And so for that reason, gratitude is very important for all of us, and to practice, ¿verdad? So
yes,
now the other point is about that well, as Christian, I'm talking, I used to believe that God will be happy to kill all my enemies, because in some way, when you start to read with wrong eyes what is written in the Torah, you can have an idea about God wants to destroy everybody who are not with him, okay? And so it's very common to hear from different preachers to say, oh, God will destroy your enemies, and everybody is happy. Oh, amen, amen, amen. It's a lot of euphoria. So
yeah,
but this is so destructive, and the point is that there is one verse in Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 11. I don't know if you can put it on the screen.
I'm looking now for it. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
33, verse 11. Okay, say unto them, as I live, say the Lord, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn ye from your evil ways, for why will ye die, O house of Israel?
Yeah.
So when you start to hear, for example, Muslims, Christians,
Right.
with this hatred speech, then they need to look for these passages, because God is not happening to destroy humanity. No one. Even for me, it's like God feel pain when Paro died, when all these Egyptians died. Yes, from Israel was, oh God, it's like to separate the problem from the person.
Right.
Okay, I'm happy because the person who wants to destroy me, who wants to hurt me, now they will not longer be able to do it. Okay, but to the action, not to that person. And this is very important, because when we raise up kids, it's important. And for me, it's difficult, honestly, because sometimes it's very difficult to separate the problem from my kid. Okay, for example, oh, we have an expression in Spanish, tú eres un burro, and that means you are like a donkey.
Donkey, stubborn.
Yeah, stubborn. Okay, so it's very dangerous, for example, to say to your kid, oh, you are like a donkey.
Yeah.
Because what you are making in his mind, that in the future his behavior will be like a donkey, honestly.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
you need to take out the problem from him,
Right.
and treat the problem of the kid.
Right.
So
not let it define who he is.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is very common also with persons.
Yes.
For example, and it's not that you want to do it in a voluntary way.
No.
It is because sometimes as human we have problems with communication abilities. Okay.
Yeah. We lose patience.
We lose patience.
Yeah.
We fall in stress.
Yeah.
And we are very disappointed with persons, whatever.
Yes.
So but this is very important. And in this way, it's not that God was from one side, oh, God is on favor of Russians, or God is on favor of Ukrainians.
Right.
God is not working like human beings.
Right.
God wants that even the Ukrainians and Russians save them.
Of course.
And repentance, both
exactly.
of them.
To come to know him, the whole world.
Yes, the whole world.
Exactly.
So it is very important to not make these kind of definitions. Okay.
Right.
And it's the same with Arabs. And I believe that Jewish people have this ability that they have gained during many years. For example, with Arabs, I have seen how Israelis do not hate really the Arabs for being Arabs.
They don't.
Yes,
I've seen it
don't.
myself. Yeah. We have a restaurant here where they're partners. It's a falafel house. An Arab, a Palestinian, and Israeli are working together.
Yes.
We're brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's a different speech, for example, from the Iranian. The Iranians wants to destroy everybody that are not like them. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, not most of the Iranians.
Yeah, I know
The
not
religious,
most of the Iranians, the religious one.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I've seen things like, for example, putting in jail a couple married that they were dancing on the street for that reason, they went to jail for 10 years, something like that.
Can you imagine?
So what is the
Yeah.
you know, what is the problem for doing that?
Yeah.
So but this is very important. And then also there is a point I
Yeah,
can remember right now.
we have many Iranians who have moved here to Canada, and we speak to them what's going on in their homes, and they remember before the Ayatollahs took over. But you know, it's interesting because if you look at the history of all nations, it's the same for us as a nation of Israel. When we are faithful to our God and we're obedient, we prosper. Under the Shah, under that at that time, there was incredible decadency that was going on, and it was beginning to be. There was a lot of corruption going on. There's, you know, like any nation, and then God brought the religious, brought the Ayatollahs, and put them under submission so that they will cry out for God. You know, we have a long history. And when I meet people who are from Iran, I always tell them we go back a long way because your King Darius helped us to build our wall around Jerusalem. You know,
And Cyrus.
Darius, yeah, it was the same.
Oh, is it the same?
Yeah.
Cyrus and Darius.
Yeah, Cyrus.
Oh,
It's
I
different. Is like say Juan and John.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also is about what the message you bring, and it's about chapter 14, Shemot 14:31. And this is about, you know, yes, the Emunah is a gift, right? For everybody, and God gives to everyone a portion of Emunah. The Emunah doesn't come from us, okay? Because as Rab Shaul said, it's not that to say, oh, I have a lot of faith, okay?
Yeah, you see here it says they believed, but it's
Yes.
really, the word is emunah, va'yimunu, uminu.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. When I saw that, I went, wow, yeah.
But you know that the point is, in just this little verse, you can see that Israel saw the great power. So it's important that we perceive God's power with our senses. Okay, it's not something. It's not an idea. It's something concrete. Okay.
Right.
And this is very important. For example, I beg to God to save me from to be harmed, okay, from a delinquent at the street.
Right.
So the protection was over you, over all your body, you know. So it's not something idealistic that is to say I cannot perceive. That is important because they saw, they were witness, okay? They can live with their own flesh how God saved them, and said that that the power that God made against the Egyptians. And then there is another word that is very important that people I can't remember how to say that in English, but it is to say they. Let me check. Exodus 14:31.
14:31
Okay.
also?
Yes, and the people feared the Lord.
Right.
So the
You
first
do.
thing is
Yeah.
you know, they saw, okay,
Right.
then they feared to God, and this is very important because you cannot have any faith in whatever you have until you fear, until you bow, until you say, okay, you are more than me,
Right.
Okay?
You give him honor, reverence.
Reverence.
Yeah.
And it's not in today's words, especially in a lot of church, because one day I was hearing a preaching from a pastor, because I was in a car that they were hearing that kind of speech. So and this person is completely different, the message, because it's your faith.
No.
And the point is your fear. Okay, when you fear God, then you will have emunah, because you are in a position to be humble,
Right.
in a position to say, I cannot do that, Lord.
Right.
It's only you.
Yeah, exactly.
I am limited person. You are unlimited God. So
Yeah. Because most people have created their own gods. They're like pocket gods. They're in charge of, they're the ones who tell their gods what to do. Our creator's the only one.
yes.
Yeah.
And then they believe first in God, and then they believe in Moses.
Yes. Yeah.
So in now today, the word is like to make the opposite. First believe in the person,
Right.
then believe in God, then fear God, and then prove with your senses, with your body,
Right.
the goodness of God.
Right.
So in this process is very important, because you know, when I was hearing this preacher to say, okay, is your faith first? Is not my faith.
Right.
And that's the first point. I don't have faith. The faith comes from God. Okay.
Yeah.
So is his emunah. Okay?
Exactly.
My portion is to act
On that faith.
on
Exactly.
that faith.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Which is bitachon.
Right.
So but I will not trust in God. I will not act in this emunah if I don't fear God. So for that reason, it's very important, the commandments, because every commandment is about fearing God.
Right.
No.
Well, that's the most important element about faith, because every human being has faith. Hitler had faith, but he put his faith in the astrologers and in all the wrong, in the occult.
Yeah.
So
Is that what it means when they
Yeah.
say faith is first of all, it's given from God, but you think
yeah, but it depends what you put your faith in. Like I like this chair.
But is that faith?
That's faith.
Oh, okay, you're talking
Yeah.
about
I put like when I sit down on this chair, I have faith that the chair is going to hold me.
right.
If a chair breaks, I don't trust it anymore. So there's a difference.
No, I understand.
Everyone has faith. Where do we put our faith? In whom?
But faith in God? Talking about
I'm putting no faith. Faith itself
Yes.
is an element that God gives us. And we have free will to choose in what we put our faith.
okay, but
Yeah.
is that the same? I know what you're saying, but isn't that
You're separating, Miriam, because of
no,
Christianity.
but it sounds like you're separating. To
No.
me, when a person has, I'm talking about they recognize the presence of God in their life.
That's different.
But
That's different.
faith. That's faith.
No. You can have faith in
But
anything.
why are you separating?
Yeah,
I'm not
because
separating.
faith is like love. Okay. Love is a feeling, and you can love your animals, you can love yourself, you can love your clothing, you can love your TV show, for example.
Right.
Everything is love, but it's different when we are talking about loving God.
Right.
Okay. Because and it's the same with emunah. I can have emunah in different things. For example, if I have a shipment, I have emunah that all the people that is working, they will do their job properly, and we will make the shipment loading in order. But that is a kind of faith. But the problem is that from this word is telling you have faith. Yes, but have faith in what? Okay, because then people start to say, oh, I believe I can do it. There is I don't know if you have heard that song that says, I believe, start to believe in everything. This person is like, I can do that. I can be the better person. I believe that. Yes, it's great. But the problem is God is not there. There is no fear of God there.
That's what it says,
So-
Biyad Ramah, believing in their own hand of they went out with a mighty hand. They believed in their own strength. How often do I hear people who were in the IDF in Israel, and they believe they won against the enemy because they were such a strong army? They're believing in the wrong thing. God is the one who brought them through. God is the one that allows the Israeli army to win or not to win.
Yes,
No, I
it's
agree
like,
with you. Anyway, maybe a lot of this is semantics because
No, it's understanding the concept of faith, that it's out of our control. We don't have,
no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
When people recognize that, it changes their lives. So like, how could you just compare it, like the faith that the chair won't fall down? I understand what you're
because
saying.
faith is it's like kadosh. It's you have to get rid of the religious idea around faith. When you put faith in a relationship with the Creator, it becomes very different than faith in anything else.
No, I know that. So why are you separate? What I'm not. I'm
not separating it, Miriam.
yeah, you know, I have discovered that people believe that faith is like concentration.
Like what?
Or concentration, to focus on something, that
Oh.
something will happen, and you put the energy, all your energy is direct to that success, to that point of your life that will be successful, and you are focused on that, and they call that faith. For
Yeah,
example, you have you need to be have to have faith, for example, to get a job. Okay, so it's like people doing putting their own energies on getting a job,
yeah,
but that is not trusting in God, because emunah comes from amen also. Yes,
so be it.
and you know that the words is the aleph in the
Amen.
middle of, yeah, and in the last one. So it's like it's something complete. I mean, so when
No, that's emet. That's
emet,
truth.
yes,
Emet.
yes,
Yeah.
emet, yes. So I believe in that God emet will do or hear my petition, but the point is, how is my condition, I would say, or my attitude before God. I do really believe that He's God. I mean, do I fear Him? So it is very important, because people just for believing that God will give something, that doesn't mean that God will do that. Okay. For example, I want to have $1 million, and I beg every day, and I have faith supposedly to get that.
Yeah.
But I don't work, I don't fear God.
No, but I buy
and-
lotto tickets.
Yeah, and I go to buy tickets, but
Yeah.
but you know, it's not about having faith. It's,
No.
and so that is very important to have that God emet, right? Is really clear. And,
Yeah.
and you know that is something that in this verse tells you the process. Okay, you see God, then you fear God, then you have faith, and then you trust.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a relationship. It works
yes,
both ways.
yes,
We need to be also obedient to his voice. He's telling us that. Like, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, God is going to help me, or I believe in God, but which God? Like, you don't do anything that he asks you to do. Oh, well, that's different. Oh, I don't have to keep the Shabbat. Oh, I don't have to
yeah.
honor my parents. You know,
Is that even really believing in God? When people
according to
say
them, it is. They say, I believe in God.
Yeah,
They don't
but
know what
that
it
doesn't
means
mean they believe in anyway.
because their heart hasn't been circumcised. They
Yeah.
haven't had that experience where
But
they
that's really
know.
what I'm saying, and that's why I say it's a matter. I'm saying without that experience, it's like an empty word. You know, so of course I believe in God. I've heard so many people say, of course, but
Yeah.
they don't even. So, but I'm not talking
No.
about that. I'm talking about anyway. Maybe we're talking on different. Talking about believers who, like for example, when I went through my shtick, let's say, and I knew that I had to get out and walk. Like that's a little thing, and I knew that I had to use my will to take what God says, even though at times I didn't believe it, or I said, what am I doing? But we have to take action, and that's to me what the two parts are, that you can't have one without the other. You have to have, and that's what I'm trying to talk about with one of my relatives, that there's an act of the will. And even sorry, I liked one thing that you said, Peggy, about God as an architect. Like when an architect makes a drawing, it's a blueprint.
Exactly.
You know, you can't make a building or something without that blueprint. Then one brick is sideways.
Exactly.
So
And the Torah is our blueprint.
It is a blueprint for us and for the whole world.
Right.
And unless you see that and acknowledge that, there's chaos. Or, you know, well, I think, you know, well, for example, what people say with people have told me with abortion, then they get really angry. I used to have an argument with a woman down the hall anyway, and she used to say, you know, look at the conditions they're in. How are you going to raise a child? They can't, they're going to suffer. And I said, but you're talking about murder, you know, if you don't have that blueprint, you can't even
Ya ahorita voy a empezar.
Sorry?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely, and we, the problem is also we as Israelites, the nation of Israelites have been given the blueprint to deliver it to the rest of the world. That's it. It's not to keep just for ourselves and say to them, no, you have something else.
Right.
You can be Noahides, or you can be Christians. You keep your God, I'll keep mine. No, it does. That's what, and that's the only way that these three religions, and I'm including Rabbinic Judaism in there, it is a religion based on Talmud. The Christianity is based on the New Testament. Islam is based on the Quran, and their extra writings they have created. And the fourth one is biblical Judaism. That's the one we look at. And the only way that they can prove theirs right is by getting rid of what they call the Old Testament. It's old, it's no longer good. Now we can get rid of it. And now we have something better. The new
God can improve on himself.
Exactly.
But another thing, Mauricio, what you said about an identity separating, like I have an issue when I speak to my brother, and let's say, for example, or maybe I shouldn't say him, with he'll maybe in the past, he's not so much now, he would call a million times, and then I'd say, stop it, it's too much, Philip. And then he says, I'm being a pest. And I would never say that, because it becomes his whole being.
Right.
It's not his being. I will never say, I have to watch.
Yeah.
We have to separate the person from the act.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important, because we can do it without even knowing it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not the person. He's not a pest. He's a person who I love and adore and has a whole being. And you could sometimes, without knowing it, we could really assault a person's being.
Yeah.
And we have to separate who they are as a human being.
Yeah. And I can be guilty of that. I have to be very careful, instead of saying this thing that you said is being judgmental, not that you are judgmental.
Yeah, we have to really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're learning. We're learning.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. Well, I think that this has been a wonderful session today. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Mauricio, for all the things that you've added. And thank you, everybody, for being here, even if you haven't participated. So share the blueprint that God has given us. Read it every day if you can. If you can't, read it once a week. The beautiful thing about the Torah, it's divided, the parasha, it's divided into 7 portions, one for each day of the week. So it's just even a little bit. What's amazing to me is every time I read it now on the Wednesday nights, we go through it, I always see something that, I didn't know that was there. It's incredible. It's beautiful. So Mauricio, thank you again for your input. And I understand you're bringing the message next week.
Yes.
Good. Okay. And thank you again for that. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Have a
shalom.
rest of the day. Stay warm. And we'll see you, God willing, again next week. Have a wonderful
Amen.
week.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye. Ciao.
Shalom. Ciao.